Okay, our first writer, his name is Greg Stolze, and he specializes in horror, speculation, and games. He releases free stories on the internet after they've been paid for. While this may sound complicated, you can read its explanation and download stories about guilty cops, fish telepaths, stolen Babylonian temple seals, jujitsu experts and their children, stolen voices, and dangerous books at gregstolze.com/fiction_library. So Mr. Stolze, come on up.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you all for inviting me out. I will be reading one of my rare pieces of nonfiction today. It's entitled My Superior, and it's from this anthology about vacations. As my hands cut the water, I count. 1, 2, 3. Each sweep of my palms is strong and vigorous. I feel great. The water is cold, surging up and down beneath me like an amusement park ride, a child-appropriate one. 4, 5, 6. I'm swimming in Lake Superior, off a beach on Madeline Island. Madeline Island is one of the Apostle Islands, and my wife's family has a cabin on it. The road to the cabin is unpaved red dust, so fine, dry, and ever-present that even months after we leave, after rain and washing, I find seams of it in our station wagon's door frames. My 2 sons love it here. They adore their older cousins, they walk with the in-laws' dog, and they have so much fun that we're there 5 days before Nick, who's 4, thinks to inquire about TV. There is no TV at the cabin. The best part, however, is indisputably the beach. We park on gravel next to foul-smelling toilets, but their odor stays behind as we go down a long flight of wooden steps. The steps end with a bridge over a lagoon, sometimes with teenagers jumping off it in defiance of posted warnings. On the other end, there's a lightly forested sand beach. Canoes and rowboats are chained to the trees with bicycle padlocks. Towards the water, the sand is increasingly studded with smooth, round stones, all sizes and colors. 8, 9. I've decided to swim out 25 strong breaststrokes, then flip over and return with 25 backstrokes. The island curves broadly around, so I've aimed myself at a wooded rise of rock far in the distance. 10, 11, and by 12 I can feel my pulse, feel my heart going. It's great. After baking in the sun, the cold water is bracing. After 3 months without exercise, babying a mysterious sore shoulder, being active is exquisite. There are 2 choices for wading and swimming at this beach. There's the lagoon, which juts into the land like a peninsula of water and is stained dark by tree tannins. Eventually, it turns into a lily-decked swamp, but we stay at the near edge, where it's 4 feet at its deepest, and much warmer than the lake. It's also calmer, though when the tide is pouring in, we feel a real current. The other option is Lake Superior, bright blue and brisk and capped with hairy white when the wind and tides are strong. Dan, our 1-year-old, is fascinated by the waves and the blue horizon. We are constantly grabbing his sunscreen slippery body to haul him back from the waves. We carry him up the beach and set him in the sand until he toddles down, swim diaper sagging, to the surf again. For our last day on the island, I've chosen Superior. At about 13 strokes, I drop down to check if I can touch the bottom. I cannot. I waded out neck deep before I started swimming. The slope of the beach is very gradual. I probably walked out 100 yards before lifting my feet off the lake bed. We go to the beach every day unless it's raining, and I mostly wade in the lagoon, holding a child's hand and making sure Nick and Dan are safe, building little rock and sand monuments with them and splashing them in the water when the sun seems too hot. One day earlier in the week, I went out into the lake to swim and was shocked by how quickly my breath deserted me. 15, 16, 17, 18, I'm still going strong. The first time I swam the lake, I did not count strokes. My breathing is deep, even and regular, but the sensations in my heart, sensations spreading through my chest, are not great or exquisite anymore. Of all the features of my body, I am least happy with my lungs. I have asthma, rarely bad, but in winter its threat is constant, even though the attacks are uncommon. It's like a toilet that only backs up a couple times a year, but which leaves you sniffing the bathroom air at least once a week. I don't do cardio training. I go to a martial arts school twice a week. I elevate my pulse and get a workout, or I did before my shoulder went bad. 19, 20. I stay home and chase children all day, which can certainly be exhausting. Nevertheless, I know my weakness, and it is this: I get winded. Not like a smoker or someone obese. I'm probably smack dab in the statistical middle between Lance Armstrong on one end and that guy who wheezes climbing the steps onto the bus. My other parts are better. I have no visible body fat. I'm lean and every line of muscle on my shoulders stands out. I saw no reason not to swim the lake on my vacation. Just before this trip, the orthopedist gave me the green light to go back to the gym. Strokes 24 and 25 are only token efforts. I'm no longer even comfortable. Mentally, I'm concerned. Physically, my breathing is a little bit labored. But my backstroke is strong, I tell myself. I'll be able to take it easy going back, drift a bit. That's what they taught us in swim class when I was 12, that if you get in trouble, just float, save your breath, conserve your energy. I'm 34, and I don't float. I peek between my toes at that woodsy, rocky end, what I aimed at coming out. I'll keep it there going back. I start to pull the water again. 1, 2, 3. Staying up is difficult. I tend to sink. This is the problem with having no fat. 4. I have to strain my back, arching hard, and I have to hold my breath longer than I want. I don't want to hold my breath at all. I want to pant. 5. The weight of the water is compressing me. 7, 8. The sun is right overhead, and I close my eyes, tip my head back farther to try and spread out my body mass, make it wide and buoyant. My limbs are feeling fine, like they could kick and paddle all day. It's just my lungs. They're burning. 11, 12. I open my eyes and see open water. The spit of land I was using to navigate is nowhere in sight. I am off course and failing in Lake Superior, and that's when it hits me that I could die. I right myself, tread water, and realize that while my eyes were closed, I turned almost 90 degrees. The bad shoulder, of course. I was swimming unevenly. I curved and traveled parallel with the beach instead of towards it. My children and wife are on the sand with no idea anything is wrong. I'm the strongest one in the family, the one who gets asked for boosts and to haul luggage and open stuck jars. I could die in the water and no one would even wonder about it for another 10 or 15 minutes. I'm pulling in ragged gasps, in and out with no pause to get the oxygen from the air. I'm trembling inside. My chest feels like it's in a vice, and I drop down under the surface, hoping to touch bottom. I can't. I surface and switch to side stroke, 13, 14, 15, and then I quit counting because it doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to make it or I won't. I consider yelling for help, but I'm not sure I can make a loud enough sound. Not sure I could be heard over the waves and the laughter of vacationers. Even if someone heard, what would they do? There's no lifeguard. That gradual beach would slow any running rescuer like ankle irons as they tried to cover that 100 yards before I sank. No, I'll save my breath to swim. My arms are still fine, and my legs too. When I move them faster, harder, I feel it in the lungs. No black spots, no tunnel vision. I don't even panic. I don't have enough thought space to panic. All I can think of is my sons, my wife, and reaching the beach. I pull and kick and pull and kick and drop down once more. This time, I feel sand. Standing on my toes, I can tilt my chin above the surface. The water is still rising and falling, gentler than my breathing, and I toe walk like a ballet dancer toward shore, sculling with my hands. The lake is still crushing my chest like a fist around a toothpaste tube. I can't relax until my ribs are above the water and my feet are flat. I stand there and pant, and nothing around me is different. The same people, lithe teens in two-piece suits, fat guests whose only deep tans are on arms and necks. They're milling around, waiting and sipping sand-dusted drinks from mini coolers. All the children rolling around and splashing and building with the rocks. Nothing's changed for them. I almost died, and nobody noticed. Can you get Dan into his shirt? That's what my wife asks when I get to our settlement of towels. I nearly died, I tell her, and she looks up. She's confused, and I explain, and I watch her try to grasp this concept. I hope it won't spoil your vacation, she says at last, as if this was the beginning of the trip and not its end. I try to explain to her that it won't, that I'm mostly just mad at myself for being so incredibly stupid. I knew the lake was dangerous. I spent most of my time on its shore trying to protect my children from it. I just never stopped to think that it could kill me as easily. I'll happily go back to Madeline Island, build fires, play cards with my in-laws, and watch my children delight in the woods and the dusty road and the beach. I may even swim in the lake again. But if I do, I'll remember my frailty. Next time, I'll be aware not only of its beauty, but also its vast, ignorant, murderous strength. Thank you.